So, amidst the chaos of media days, we finally get some conference realignment news after months of nothing but speculation. The Colorado Buffaloes are officially returning to the Big 12. Now, this shouldn't come as too much of a surprise since this has been rumored for months, but it really shows the state of the Pac 12. As throughout media days, Commissioner George Kliavkoff has been hounded of where is this media deal? What is this media deal? What are the numbers? What's going on? And he continues to kick the can down the road, saying, like, oh, the longer we hold out, the better our options get. And it's like, no, dude, we need answers. These teams need to know what's going on. If you're going to add teams, what teams are you going to add? What channels are we going to be on? Nobody knows any of these things. And the Colorado athletic director got tired of waiting and decided to take the Buffaloes back to the Big 12, reuniting with old foes like Kansas State and giving a nice boost to their basketball program. But most importantly, this is a move for stability because the Big 12 knows what they are now and the Pac 12 has no idea what's going on. So, congratulations, Buffaloes. You have some stability. You don't have to worry about this anymore. But today, I really wanted to just go over what's going on with the rest of the teams because this move is going to have a domino effect across the rest of college football. And today, we're going to talk about what that effect is going to be. Now, the first thing that I really want to get into is what the Big 12 is going to do next because they're not going to sit at 13 members. That's just a very awkward number to have, and you know they're going to look to at least add one more team. Obviously, the most clear path to adding that 14th member or beyond that is just to pick the corpse of the Pac 12. Add the corner schools, Utah, Arizona, Arizona State, all that, but maybe they can't get those guys. Maybe the Pac 12 gets their stuff together and they have to look elsewhere. If they have to look elsewhere for that 14th member, it's likely going to be the University of Connecticut. Obviously, you want to grab UConn for their football program. Their football program has been terrible, but this is the Big 12 we're talking about. They value basketball prestige. And Colorado looks to be on the up and up in football with the hiring of Coach Prime and the transferring of Travis Hunter and all that. So that's a football edition, but their basketball program is terrible, right? So you kind of offset that with the addition of UConn by having one of the better basketball programs in the nation while taking on a terrible football program. So adding UConn would be a very evening out move for the Big 12. Now I want to talk about what the Pac-12 is doing from here. And I've already made a video talking about what the Pac-12 should do if they want to, survive and all the teams they should add. So click that video right now. It's really good. I like it. So for the rest of this video, we're going to operate under the assumption that the Pac-12 is dead. And I'm going to go team by team and tell you where I think each of them is headed. Let's just start with the obvious. Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah would all follow Colorado to the Big 12. It just makes too much sense. Arizona would add to the basketball brand of the conference. Utah has a very strong rivalry with BYU and a rivalry with Colorado, so it just makes sense to keep them together. And Arizona State really would just be along for the ride with Arizona, but logically, that's just the most likely destination for those three. Next two schools are pretty cut and dry. Washington State and Oregon State are not Power 5 schools outside of the Pac 12. There's not going to be another Power 5 conference that wants to take them on, so they really need the Pac 12 to survive because if the Pac 12 goes down, they're 100% Mountain West Conference bound. This next school that I'm going to talk about is Cal, and I think they're kind of interesting to talk about because they're not really a football power at all. Like, they're definitely at a higher level than Oregon State and Washington State, at least prestige wise, I'd say. But I don't think people are like fiending to have Cal in their conference. And I feel like if Cal takes a step down and goes independent or Mountain West or wherever they go, it would honestly be more on brand for them to just fold the football program as sort of a virtue signaling and cite like football being barbaric or concussions or something like that, because that's just kind of how Berkeley is. They have a pro sports ban in the city already. And it's not like sports are really important in Berkeley, so I'm going to go ahead and predict that Cal just closes up shop on their football program. The next school I'm going to talk about is Stanford, and they're in a pretty similar situation that Cal is, with the fact that football just really isn't important on the campus anymore. But there's a lot more history at Stanford than there is Cal, so obviously they're just not going to close their doors like I predicted Cal to. They're going to end up somewhere. I think Stanford is a lot more of a desirable team to add to your conference than Cal is. Maybe they'll just hang around the Mountain West for a while. I could definitely see them tagging on to the Big Ten eventually, but I feel like the Big Ten has a lot to figure out before they open their doors to Stanford. So Stanford's definitely going to be around somewhere. Maybe they just dominate the Mountain West for a while, but they'll eventually latch onto a conference. I just think it might take a while. Next, we have Washington, and the Huskies are obviously a very desirable program, but I feel like they're just going to kind of follow Oregon wherever they go. I feel like there's a scenario where Washington and Stanford could team up to join a power conference together, but to me, it just feels like Washington is probably going to be a package deal wherever Oregon goes. The last school we're going to talk about is obviously the most powerful one, and that being Oregon. Oregon, in a lot of ways, controls their fate, although they did try and go to the Big Ten along with USC, but that fell through. So now there's a lot of question marks for the Ducks. I feel like a very likely scenario is the Ducks just kind of end up tagging along and joining the Big 12, or they eventually do find their way to the Big Ten. But honestly, the Ducks would be fine even if they decided to go independent. But since USC and UCLA moved to the Big Ten, it shows that geography no longer matters for conference realignment, at least if you're rich enough. And Nike has a lot of money, and ESPN has a lot of money, and Phil Knight has made it clear he wants to buy a national championship for the Ducks. So why not join the Conference of Champions? That's right, I'm suggesting Oregon takes Washington and they join the SEC. Because, if Oregon wants to win a national championship, last year showed they're not near the same caliber as the Georgia Bulldogs. So, might as well join the SEC. Again, if you have enough money, geography does not matter. Join the SEC and compete for real championships. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Just a quick little video I threw together with my opinions on the whole Colorado and Pac-12 situation. I plan on having a video about MLB expansion coming out relatively soon, so if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe. And if you thought everything I said was wrong, make sure to let me know just how wrong I was in the comments. Take care.